All right, so recently, a lot of you have probably seen Kanye's shirt that says, white lives matter. I feel like there's a lot of topics that can be covered pertaining to the shirt, and I feel like the main problem is people putting celebrities on a pedestal, because in reality, they are people who have certain levels of power because of people who watch them and follow them, but also at the end of the day, they're just another person who make mistakes and just may do the things for attention. I don't necessarily agree with what Kanye has said. I believe that some things that he says is just controversial or just to get views, but I also feel like other times some things he might be saying that I don't necessarily agree with, but I can see where he's coming from. And in this instance, I can't. I'm not even gonna lie. I can't. Okay, that was a lie. I can see where he's coming from, but I feel like it's misguided. Well, I feel like there's a lot of things that aren't taken into consideration. I feel like the whole premise of why people say Black Lives Matter, is because obviously all lives matter. I feel like Black people understand, at least the average not smart, but logical Black person, or not even logical, just Black person in general. People in general understand that all lives matter. But when people say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying other lives don't matter. But what they are saying that all lives matter, but it seems as though our lives, our community does not matter to the masses. So we're going to chant this. And when someone says white lives matter right after, or blue lives matter, or Asian lives matter right after a statement like Black Lives Matter is being made, it could seem like you're just cutting through or diminishing the statement Black Lives Matter. Not saying that all lives don't matter or these lives matter, because obviously white lives matter, Asian lives matter, blue, pink, all these lives matter. But it just seems as right now, our lives matter or our lives don't matter. And this is what we want, the topic to be. This is what we want attention to, right? So when Kanye wears this shirt, I feel like, I can see why someone may, have an uproar, or people are in uproar about what Kanye is wearing in this shirt. And even the statement he made about, his dad saying that, well, obviously all white lives matter. Like, I feel like, that's an obvious statement, but I feel like there's a lot of things that are being missed within this shirt and why he's even wearing it to begin with. Now, I'm not Kanye. I can only go off of social media. I don't know the guy. I can only go off social media with the things I found, even the interview he had. Another thing that, I will say is that Candace Owens was there, wearing a White Lives Matter shirt. And I feel like there's a video I watched playback, they had touched on this, so I thought it was a very interesting point, which is why I even got the idea for this video. A lot of points that I have in here, refer back to them, and I just thought they were interesting, so shout out to playback. But a point that they made was there have been multiple times where Kanye has done things for attention, but then also he's done things for himself and things that he's genuinely believed in, which is great, all power to him, but he's aligned himself with people who are using him for different things. Now, Candace Owens, that's a whole nother topic. We can get into that, but that's a whole nother video that I would like to cover. Some things I agree with Candace Owens on, some things I don't, but I feel like, she makes some good statements, but that's besides the point. He aligns himself with people who use him for attention. While Kanye may believe that this shirt represents what he believes in at the time, that white lives do matter, Candace Owens is known within media to do things that are controversial. Not all the time, but she is known to do things that, she knows people are going to get people talking. She knows she's going to get views for her videos, stuff like that. But like I said, that's not all the time. She is a political figure, and there are things that she does believe in that, she's just not doing for views. She's doing it because she genuinely stands in it. But I feel like Kanye needs to watch out for those people. Like I said, I'm not Kanye. I can just go off of what I see, right? Another thing, I feel like the big thing, like I said, playback mentioned a lot of things I hadn't thought about. Well, I thought about these things, but I thought they were just very interesting. Playback, they stated that the same amount of uproar or attention Kanye is getting for him wearing a White Lives Matter shirt, even though we can have a whole discussion on that, why wasn't, why isn't that same level of attention being directed towards, when the Black Lives Matter, group, organization came out as being a scam or using money for things that they shouldn't have if their goal is to help Black people, right? We can have a whole conversation about, things that black people do that may be positive, may be negative, but I just feel like, our attention should be focused on other things. Not saying that this thing about Kanye wearing this shirt should not have attention, but at the same time, when we found out that the Black Lives Matter organization was taking that money that was left over because they're a nonprofit, they were putting into mansions and homes for the owners and not back into the black community. Me personally, I would think, well, if my goal is to help the black community, I would put it into like some maybe another nonprofit, or help the homeless, help start up a black community. I don't. There's just so many things that I would assume you could do with that money. It's not just like a couple thousand. It's not just a couple 100,000. It's millions of dollars that people have donated. But what they decided to do is they decided to pay themselves a decent amount of money and buy mansions for their workers. Not just the workers, just their owners themselves. So, I just find it very interesting that same level of attention that Kanye got is not the same level of attention that was put there. Because me personally, I knew it was a scam. Black Lives Matter is a scam. People said that, it's a terrorist organization. I wouldn't say all that. That's a whole nother video. But there's a whole bunch of things that you could say about the Black Lives Matter organization. I didn't agree with it. Obviously, the phrase Black Lives Matter, I stand with that because, but when that came out, there was a couple of videos that people made, some people touched it on social media. Maybe people talked about it amongst themselves off of social media. Maybe that's what happened. But I didn't see anything on social media about anybody talking about this issue that, this happened. Only a couple of people I saw talked about this issue of, Black Lives Matter, the organization using this money to buy themselves mansions instead of investing it back into the black community. Not you, but the people you claim to be helping. I'm not saying the organization never helped anybody, but I'm just saying when you have millions and millions of dollars left over, I don't think that buying yourself mansions to have office space is the best course of action to use that money on. It's just kind of crazy to me. Like I said, we can have this talk about Kanye and why he's wearing the shirt, but at the same time, why didn't we give the same level of attention to this? I feel like, this is a whole nother topic, but I feel like there's a lot of things within the black community that we could address. I'm not here to completely bash the black community because, I can talk about multiple things that the black community has created throughout, since the U.S. has been created, things that they've contributed to that's positive that we still use today. But if we are supposed to elevate ourselves, as a community, if we are supposed to get ourselves out of the gutter, stop, I'm not going to say playing victim, but if we are supposed to genuinely get ourselves out of the gutter, there are some things we need to talk about. There's some problems within the black community that we need to talk about. We need to address and stop sweeping them under the rug. But then we'll take that energy and attack people who may have controversial views. Not saying that doesn't need attention, because it does. But where's that attention when we talk about, things within the black community, right? One thing I will say about Candace Owens, she is, very adamant on addressing the problems within the black community. She doesn't give context. This is another thing Playback said, but she doesn't give context to those things, but she is willing to, talk about those things. I feel like talking about those issues is a great thing, but we also need context. There's a whole thing about, the black community and how we deal with money, abortion, how we vote, there's a whole bunch of things that we can touch on. But I'm just saying, how about we take that, that energy and that attention and put it somewhere where it's going to be effective, that we can elevate ourselves. I've heard black people talk about, how come we're not on the level of the quote unquote Asians and how they operate? That's a whole nother discussion, but that's because, there are things that we need to work on. We're very individualized. But I don't want to go outside. I don't want to get off topic. The whole thing about Kanye's shirt, I find it very interesting that he would wear something like that. I would never wear it, but I understand where he's coming from. I just feel like there's a lot of things that he is missing and he is detached from because of the place that he's been in for the past couple of years, or since he's been in the industry, he's been making the money he's making. I'm all for him being able to wear that shirt. He should be able to wear whatever he wants to wear because this is America and you can do what you want to a certain degree. And I feel like, we should be able to fight for rights and uphold these rights, but it's just very interesting for you to wear a shirt like that. Like, obviously, white lives do matter, but by wearing that shirt, you being a black person yourself, you're kind of missing the point. You're kind of missing the point. And I find it very ironic, but, that's all. I just find it very ironic. That's all. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave what you think, any comments, concerns, questions. If you dislike the video, tell me in the comments. So yeah, that's all.